Well, welcome back, everybody, to HB's Housing Huddle. I am excited to have Carly Carter with App Properties with us today. Welcome, Carly.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely. Well, I have like a whole list of accolades here for you. So in like 4 short years, I feel like I'm reading a book. So congratulations on all the success.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So let's touch on a couple of things, Carly. So first things first, Fort Worth Real Producer, Top 500 Agent, Fort Worth Magazine, Top Realtor of 2023, Top D Magazine. Gosh, we keep going. Top 2022 Monument Realty Producer too. That's awesome. So when did you get into real estate at the beginning? So like what year was that? This is 22 and 23 awards, so it had to be pretty soon.
Yeah. So I got into real estate August of 2020.
Okay.
I think, let's see, my daughter had just turned 1.
Okay.
COVID was about to hit 6 months later. Was that right? Or did it just hit? No, it just hit right before.
Just hit.
Yeah, it just hit right before. So I was learning how to be a mom, also learning how to start my own business and figuring out what the real estate world was all about. But it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, sounds like you're absolutely crushing it. I mean, we've watched some of your success from afar over the last couple, especially months specifically, since we've kind of met each other and done those things. So talk to me, what did you do? So I know you were a Dallas Mavericks dancer and things before. So talk to me a little bit about your background and then what led you into real estate into 2020.
Yeah, so I loved, representing the Dallas Mavs when I was younger. And after I finished that, I got into spokes modeling. I represented a major auto manufacturer around the country.
Can I ask who it was?
I think so.
Okay, perfect. Well, who was it?
Toyota.
Okay, nice. We're a Toyota gang. I like it.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I saw your nice Tundra out there.
Thank
It's
you.
really cool. Love
Thank
the
you.
durable, reliable, dependable Toyotas. They're
You're
always
still
great.
selling for them. I like
yes,
it.
absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah, they're great. I represented them around the country at, like the Detroit Auto Show, Barrett Jackson, SEMA, a lot of big events. And I loved that, loved speaking to people and also listening to people's needs and matching them with the correct vehicle.
Yeah.
And that kind of, transcends, I guess, into real estate a little bit.
Yeah.
Now match them to the home that they need. But I was really looking for something, obviously, that I didn't travel as much because I do have a daughter now, so I didn't want to be away from her. That's hard.
Understandable.
And then also something that didn't really cap me, and was inflation proof. I've always loved real estate. I'm a Zillow scroller and loved open houses and all that stuff, and thought, why not be a part of it and help people also with what's most of the time the biggest transaction of their entire lives.
No, totally. And that's one of the big pieces, is just being able to, this is a huge financial obligation. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, I bought a house, but really there's a lot that goes into it. So that's super, super awesome. So kind of with the podcast here today, I really want to kind of touch on how you got into it, why you got into it, and then also kind of how you grew those skill sets really quickly, how you used previous skill sets before you got into real estate, how that helped you grow your business. Being a top realtor in DFW is not an easy thing to do. Our market is very aggressive. It's very tough. And so to do that is something to be very proud of. So talk to me a little bit about how in the world have you used your sphere to grow your business as fast as you have the last couple of years?
Yeah, so Sphere is what it's all about. Referrals are a big part in real estate. That's kind of our lifeline, but you get those from your Sphere. People have to trust you. And really that's a lot of just like building relationships. And I've definitely, all the way back from representing the Mavs and representing a major brand, I've had media training and I've had, rules and laws of how to, what to talk about, what to say, this and that, whatever. But it really comes down to relationships and, making sure you have people's trust. So you have to be consistent. You have to, they have to know you, like you, and trust you.
Yeah.
They have to believe that you have their best interest in mind. And that's one of the things I love about real estate, actually, is that, one of the first things that we learn is, we're a fiduciary. Your best interest is my bottom, it's number one for me. So it's sad because you watch any movie or if you were to like stand on a corner and like interview 100 people and say, what are your thoughts on realtors? A lot of it would be negative. It's so unfortunate.
It is.
But that's one of the things that I'm excited about with all the changes in the industry, is because I believe that, all the great agents are gonna stand out more. People are going to be more clear about the actual process and what agents do. And because most of the time people right now, they really don't know anything about buying a house and all the things that we do behind the scenes, so I'm excited about that.
No, I agree with you. I think it kind of weaves out the people who just got into it because it was easy. And then now they realize over the last 14, 16 months, it's not easy, right? Rates go up, like you said, trying to find an inflation-proof business. It is, this industry you can, even if you go into recession, we call it recession protection, you can protect yourself with real estate.
Absolutely.
Especially Texas real estate is what I love to talk about a little bit there. But I think that's key piece. So kind of digging into that here. So did you grow up in DFW?
I did, yeah. Okay. I grew up in Grapevine.
Okay.
Obviously, when I was younger and dancing, I lived in Dallas for a little bit. And then I've been in Fort Worth now for 8 years at least, maybe even 8 or 10 years.
So are you a Mustang?
Absolutely.
Oh, no. We have to cancel this podcast, everybody. Well, first off, you went to school with Post Malone, right?
I did,
so they're the same
absolutely.
School, Post Malone. But I went to Birdville. I was down the road. So I was a hog. I cannot stand Mustangs in any sense, but I will forgive you for the podcast. So, no, that's really cool. I actually didn't know that. I grew up right there in Colleyville. So
that's awesome.
That's cool. So it's such a small world. We actually have an agent we work with now. She thought we grew up together. We were friends. I added her on Facebook, and we were following real estate, mortgage stuff, and she told everybody for years. Hunter and I went to high school, yada yada, and then turned out I think I was 8 years younger than she was. And she was
my gosh,
the whole world kind of fell. And she went to Grapevine as well. So
yeah, that's like me and Posty.
Yeah, that's it. There it is, right? There it is. I love it. That's so cool. Okay, so what kept you in this market? I think that's one of the big things where, agents move around the country a lot. Some agents are licensed in multiple states. What kept you within DFW and focused your business on growth here in DFW versus Austin or somewhere else?
My man. I'm just kidding.
Hey, that's a respectable answer.
No, I'm just kidding. He loves Fort Worth, though. Okay. He does. No, but my family, I know this area, and a lot of agents do move, and that I respect those agents so much. One of my mentors, actually, her husband and her moved, I think, 4 different times, and she picked up and rebuilt her real estate career in 4 different communities and areas. Wow. And I mean, that is amazing. It's we talk about our sphere. It's I've grown up here. I know a lot of people here. I've done, a lot of things here, and that's where a lot of my business comes from. So to not know anybody and to pick up and move is amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also, like you said, Texas real estate is fantastic.
Yeah.
A few years back, a lot of the big companies, and they're still moving here, to Frisco and everything. Toyota's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
They all moved from California. And I remember the president of my agency saying, she was like, I feel like I got a raise because I sold my house in California and I bought something here in Texas, and I have what I would have paid $1 million for in California for 500 here.
Yeah, which is crazy. Then cash can go a long way because of that too. So
yeah,
it's really, I'm a little envious of some of our California people moving here,
right?
Versus trying to move to California. It might be a little different.
That would not be fun.
But no, that's really good. I think that's kind of where, wanted to kind of lean that into being a top producer, right? Where do you feel like your skill set has thrived becoming a top producer? So what are some of the things that you brought from your past, kind of like you said, from media standpoint to, understanding social media, talking to people, understanding their needs versus wants. So what do you think helped you take that to the next level to become that higher producer other than, an agent who maybe does 3 to 5 deals a year? What do you think that those things are?
Yeah. So one of the things that, I didn't even realize until my dad mentioned it to me was he said that, Carly doesn't try. She doesn't say, oh, I'm going to audition for this. He was like, she said, I'm going to be a Mavs dancer. And, I did whatever it took, to make sure that happens, and I also do that with real estate. Going into it, I think an agent told me, oh yeah, most agents don't make any money their first year. And a lot of them don't even see their first paycheck for about 9 months. And I was like, excuse me?
You're right.
No paycheck for 9 months?
Yeah.
Nope, that can't be me.
Right.
So I, books, podcasts, marketing, I did whatever I, had to until I figured out what my groove was. I did my first piece of marketing was all wrong. I sent out a mailer, and my supervising broker called me immediately. Carly, this is wrong. You cannot you cannot put this in the mail. It goes against track. I was like, oh, whoopsie daisies.
Yeah.
But you figure out what works and what doesn't work, and you continue to pivot. You continue to evaluate your business and reevaluate it and change it. Figure out what's working, figure out what's not working, and whatever you need to do to change it to make it work. I did a lot of different things. I even took a few of those Zillow leads, and I think now I've figured out what works for me, what doesn't.
Well, can you give us your hint? What's your key to success? Or if you don't have to touch on it if you don't want to, but what's one of the things that if you had to tell an agent who's maybe trying to get from 3 to 5 deals a year to 7 to 15, what is that piece that missing piece that you maybe figured out to help grow your business?
I think number one is just continuing education. I think that honestly, like I said, people have to trust you. They have to have confidence in you. So, and real estate's always changing. So continuing education, as much education as you can is key. You want to have all the answers for your clients whenever you ask, Sure, if I don't know the answer, I'll say, that's a great question, and I'll go find it.
Yeah.
But it's a lot cooler if I do know all the answers.
That's understandable. That's why I use ChatGPT. I'm on the phone, hey, what is this? While there.
Love me some ChatGPT.
You and me both.
I'll even ask ChatGPT for their opinion. What do you think about this?
I asked ChatGPT for therapy the other night because I thought it was going to be funny.
Oh,
and
that's
it
good.
gave me full therapy. I was like,
Wow.
I didn't realize I needed therapy until I used ChatGPT.
Wow.
I was
going above and beyond
yeah,
ChatGPT.
I was like, wow, this is so much for needing $200 an hour counseling, things like that. But I think that's kind of that's really good. And that's where, we're on the mortgage side. And although, in our industry, we run very parallel, it's also very different. Mm-hmm. And, people always say you stay in your lane, and I'll stay in mine. We'll somehow get to the end. I'm like, well, that or we could drive down the same road together. We can get to that end goal together, and it's creating that client experience that is better than anything else, truthfully. That's why, we talked a little bit about retail lending and banking versus broker at Realtor's Edge a couple of months ago, mm-hmm. and kind of seeing those differences in personalization. So tell me, what has your experience been? And I don't know your numbers off the top of my head. I'm sorry, I didn't get to look. So sell versus buy, where are you percentage-wise for each?
I'm a little bit more on the buy side.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, a little bit more on the buy side. But
is that what you enjoy more than seller? Obviously you enjoy both because you're a great real estate agent, but which one do you kind of teeter a little bit more towards that you enjoy?
I do like buying a little bit more. I do like being on the buyer side just because you really feel like you get to help, those people.
Yeah.
Love selling, but it's also a little bit more, I feel like stressful, staging the house, the sellers have to clean up, organize, stage, whatever. If they're living in it, they have to pick up and, make sure it's clean. If they have kids, that's hard, but it's all fun, but I do love buying. I do love being on the buy side.
It's not all selling sunset as people expect, I think that's
where not.
I wish it was, especially some of those paychecks.
Me too.
I can only imagine what that's like, but no, I think that's really good. So talking about that and then now transpiring to area, if you had, most agents within the country, I think it was numbers 86% of agents focus within 3 zip codes of where
mm-hmm.
they are. So what's your areas that you really try to hone in on for your business within DFW? Or I know everybody does all DFW, but where do you really specialize in market-wise?
107 and 109, right by my office.
Okay, I love it. And if, for the viewers, if you'll touch on where that's at for them, what areas of Dallas is that at now?
Yeah, so I'm just west of downtown Fort Worth.
Sorry, Fort Worth.
Yeah,
Fort Worth.
No problem. Yeah, so right in the cultural district of Fort Worth, down to where TCU is.
Yeah.
Right over there in that area.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Now, do you have agents within your little sphere that you guys work kind of together as not a team, but a team, kind of those things?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many of you guys are there in that area that you?
We have we have a few that are right in that area. There's one that I work really close with that she's kind of right down the street from me, and we're both, she does more commercial and I do more residential, which is great because then we kind of, I give her commercial, she gives me residential, vice versa.
Nice.
But yeah, her and I have been working together a little bit.
That's great, especially with the businesses moving here. You can kind of double dip that, get the
Exactly.
commercial piece. They need to go somewhere and get the residential piece at the same time. That's really awesome. That's really
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so going to brokerages. So did you start at Monument Realty?
I started at Williams True, actually.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay, nice. Then I'm guessing Monument was after that.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So, and then now you're at Properties.
Yes. Now I've found my home.
You found the home? I love it.
Yeah.
Well, their marketing is unbelievable. I love the marketing.
The technology is just so amazing. It's checked off. I've had these things on my to-do list for like a year that have been, just so stressful. And the technology at Properties has just checked everything off my to-do list. It's all
That's awesome.
good. And that way I can spend more time on my clients and education.
Yeah, no, that's great. Jerry's kind of mentioned that several times to us. And for those who don't know, Jerry Moody is the broker, the CEO of At
Yes.
Property. So that's kind of who we're relaying to. So what took you as an agent? What took you to At Properties? Now, technology, I've heard, is a huge piece of that. But what was a driving force of? Was it this is where I need to be for my career, like that next step, or what kind of made that decision?
Yeah, so a group of us and my supervising broker from Monument actually all moved over. We had kind of a lunch meeting, and Jerry came and presented to us. And I think, not even 20 minutes in, I was just blown away. Wow. He said, this technology saves agents 3 to 5 hours a day. And I was like, excuse me, I'm sold.
Yeah,
and it just kept getting better and better the more he showed us the technology and the brand, of course, as well. Everybody, Christies is huge and At Properties is huge. And, I phoned an agent the other day from Chicago, and I was like, hey, because she has, we've work together a little bit. I'm kind of a go-to girl if she has someone come into Texas and vice versa. And she was like, oh, I love Christies. Oh my gosh. It's just the brand, the technology. And they've got it all together. There's nothing that we still have to figure out,
I love that. And I love the Fort Worth brand with the big longhorn on it. I don't know. It just screams Texas to me, and I love it. Because I give Jerry a hard time because he's a Dallas guy. So, the Dallas versus the Fort Worth. But I love the branding. In fact, there's a couple agents from the Fort Worth office that are doing our mother-in-law's ranch in Waco.
Very cool.
So for the agricultural piece of it. And so that was kind of one of the things that attracted us to them was who can refer it to, right? And who can we do those things with? So that's or I guess they looked at the ranch down there as probably the biggest piece, but it's attractive. That's one of the agents in the markets that you want to go with. So really, really cool. Tell me a little bit about like what your market analysis looks like for 2025. Every agent's kind of had a different perspective on this. Personally, I think the market's going to be on fire next year. I think we could see something very similar to 2021, 2022 range. What's your opinion on it for DFW?
I have no idea, Hunter. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, it's okay. I wish I had a crystal ball. It'd make my life a lot easier.
I say that to my clients all the time. I'm like, I wish I had a crystal ball. But what I think is it's a great time to buy right now. Yeah. I think that the trends show, that this is very typical for election years. We're dipping down around July and, we'll go back up. And 4 years ago, it kind of, the trends were kind of the same. I think we'll have a great Q4, and I think that 2025 will be a hot market as well. Yeah. I think people are expecting rates to drop this year, and I don't think that was ever going to happen. I hoped it was. Some of those lenders kept saying it was. It's going to drop, it's going to drop, it's going to drop. But a lot of clients or a lot of people are waiting on the election. They're waiting for the rates to drop, things like that. But studies do show also that consumer confidence is up higher than it's been in 20 years. And I do think it might drop a little bit soon. Actually, I think they just mentioned that it would drop in September.
Yeah, so the Fed's doing a rate cut. Oh, well, we don't know 100%, but it's 99% sure the Fed's going to cut rates. The problem with it is will they cut it by 0.25% or by 50 or 25 basis points or 50? And if you see 25, I expect mortgage rates to go up. If they do it by 50, I expect rates to come down. It's the bond market's trying to gauge the inflation. What is it? What are they going to do? And so everyone goes, well, Fed's cutting rates. Mortgage rates are going to fall. They're cutting mortgage rates. It's not true. It's kind of in the market. So it's like, how do we as real estate professionals help portray that to the consumer, right? What we want to do is I want the phones to ring, and I want us to go, hey, let's still help you set up a financial plan. So if it's not now, maybe it's 6 months, you know, those
Yeah.
things. So I agree with you. I think next year's going to be really exciting.
Yeah.
I love it. Personally, I don't know what you're experiencing right now. I think if you're a buyer right now, you got an opportunity to be pretty dangerous.
For sure.
You can go in, you know, guns blazing, and if the seller says no, the seller says no. But I've seen some pretty awesome stuff recently. Have you seen anything
Absolutely.
offers wise? Tell me, give me an example or experience that you've heard recently or experienced yourself with kind of the current market now.
Well, you know, technically, of course, it's still a seller's market. However, things are sitting on the market longer. There's not as many buyers.
Yeah.
But that puts the buyers in such a great position. You know, the sellers are more willing to, negotiate and, make the buyer, make it a perfect buy, perfect opportunity for them.
Yeah.
And they're getting some great deals. And as soon as, we're kind of just flatlined, but as soon as it picks up, they're gonna have a lot of equity.
That's so true.
They're gonna be a great position.
I agree, and I think that's one of the big pieces a lot of people are forgetting. And then you go back to, so you have 7 million. We talked about it last podcast, but Tyler, talk about it again. Here we had 7 million people more qualify when a rate hits 5% at the beginning. It could be 5.999, and it's 7 million more people coming back to the market. With an influx of buyers, even though our inventories maybe gone up a little bit, it could be changing really fast too. And I think that's where it's our job to say, if you're in the process of maybe thinking about selling or buying, we reach out to Carly going, hey, what is it? Because your house could be different than the house across the street. And I think that's another thing for preparation standpoint. Do you see that often in the sense of, helping clients prepare 30, 60, 90 days, or even within a couple weeks, to sell a house now?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the new builds and just the things that, buyers are needing these days. So, a lot more buyers need an at-home office than before. There's a lot of hybrid work going on, and they are, trying to be more environmentally friendly. So they like the solar type things and, just better efficiency. So there's a lot of things that sellers need to think about because of the competition, of the new builds and the new technology and just the way that, the needs of the consumer right now.
Yeah.
So I would definitely, I definitely have sellers think about any deferred maintenance, get it done. Any updates that you might think, would help or, compete with the new builds, I would go ahead and do them to get the most for your money.
Yeah, I do. I agree with you. Cause from the mortgage standpoint right now, I'd say the biggest piece that I'm seeing is normally our closings are on our end are pretty fast. Most of them are 14 or 15 days.
Amazing.
And because of that, right now is everybody's kind of holding out on because of the inspection. Normally when we go under contract, it's full steam ahead, go. But right now it's hey, we're going to wait to see if the inspection, because if the buyer sees anything they don't like, it doesn't have to be the perfect home, but if it works out, it works out. That's kind of what I'm saying. Are you seeing anything similar right now in that kind of late August, early September market currently at all?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they know they have options and, they know they can, if it's not perfect, they'll just wait. They're not in a hurry right now.
Yeah.
People like us, they're still kind of a little bit wishy-washy.
Yeah.
I even had some clients that, we found exactly what they wanted. And, they came to me because they wanted a Fort Worth local. They actually knew an agent in the Grapevine area, but they came to me because they wanted a Fort Worth local. And they said, we want this area or this type of area because they weren't familiar with it, this, and this. And we found pretty much exactly what they wanted. And they still decided, we're going to rent for a year and then we'll buy next year.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Was there any causes or anything that you felt like kind of changed that? Was it rates? Was it just experience? What was that? Or just, hey, we just made a decision? Yeah,
I think, I think it was, partly with the rates. I think it was with the economy. I think it's the election year. I think, people just, are weary about it and they kind of wanted to wait. And, they said, we like options.
I mean, that's fair. That's totally fair. That's totally fair. I get it. Okay. No, I mean, it makes sense. And I think, so let's let's say I'm the buyer now and I just told you that, right? Or maybe I'm thinking about doing that. What are some of the points that you bring up now to the buyers or the sellers saying, hey, right now is a great time? What are some of those things that you bring up to not necessarily persuade anybody, but to educate them on making the best financial decision for themselves.
Yeah. So I would ask them first, like, what are your biggest concerns, and then we would address that way. And then, talking about, buying and giving them confidence. I mean, the best time to buy is when you're ready. It's not, oh, we're going to wait till the rates drop. Oh, we're going to wait till after the election. We're going to wait. The best time to buy is whenever you're ready to buy.
Yeah.
If your rate's not exactly where you want it to be, refinance in a few years,
People forget about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they say? Date the rate, marry the house. When you find the home that fits your family's needs and wants and desires, and you're ready, that's the best time for you to buy.
Absolutely.
And if you're not ready, I don't want to rush you,
I agree with you there too. And I think that's going to, and there's other adjustments that people don't realize. So what I always educate is, if you don't know, ask. And if that person that you're asking doesn't know, they either need to find the answer or you need to find another subject matter expert to help. Right.
Yeah.
And especially on the mortgage side, I think that's the piece. There's so much changing right now with mortgages. It's hard to keep up. And we've been in it almost 8 years now. It's going, whoa.
Yeah.
There's a lot changing. But there are temporary fixes, but you don't know unless you ask, or if you bring up the conversation. So if you're on the fence, or even if you just want to know more information, there is no obligation to do those things. Just to have a conversation. And I know you work with some amazing lenders. You're able to connect them with people who are experts and can help coach them. So, no, that's really, really good. Tell me, I hear the passion, right? So tell me why, where is the passion coming from? I know it's people like mine. I love helping people invest, do those things, and setting them up for long-term success. But where's your passion coming from a foundation standpoint for real estate?
Yeah. I think, just obviously, like I said, I've always loved real estate, looking at homes, open houses, things like that, but also love helping people. That's kind of the goal, is how can I, make someone else's day better, make their, help them out, guide them in the right direction, help them make, a good investment, whatever. And I understand real estate and I believe in it as an investment. I think that's that's one of the big things is, I don't understand all the stocks as much, I invest in things, but I don't understand that world as much. Yeah. I understand real estate and I love it and I believe in it. I don't think you can ever go wrong with real estate. I think there's a lot of stats out there that the most wealthy people have gotten there through real estate. Yeah. And no matter what, if you're looking for cash flow or long-term, for it to, raise over time, I think you're going to get it with real estate both ways. Yeah, so I think that's one of them, is just, I believe in it. And then two, it's just what cooler thing than being able to help somebody with the biggest purchase of their entire life, the American dream, It is
the American dream.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I like it a lot.
Oh, no, that's good. You can, the cool thing is, and if you're listening to us on Apple Music or Spotify right now, go to the YouTube, and I would love for you to see kind of the passion that's going through the conversation with Carly and those conversations, because it relates to what you're doing. And I can say this from the loan officer standpoint: if you are not working with an agent, one, that cares about you, and then two, is actually an expert, it can be very harmful to you. Yeah. Not only financially, physically, emotionally, spiritually, the whole 9 yards. And a lot of people don't realize that. And I experience that, because there are times where I wish I could tell the buyer, please go find a different agent, because you can see the turmoil that's being brought in to the conversation. So I love that you're passionate, and just kind of thank you for really caring about the people, because I wish there were more agents that are like that out there. I made a post a couple years ago. My first job was, when I was 14, was a Chick-fil-A cow. So nice. I made the joke, because in Texas, that's the youngest that you can work. And I said, same service, different career. And it's it's the same kind of feel, and it's the my pleasure service. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not only just the white glove, it's the, hey, how can I serve you? And I'm not some high-end person, those things, but you don't have to be that. You don't have to be the selling sunsets, those things. It's who you work with matters. And I love that. So I think that's kind of where I really wanted to lead into your last piece, challenging, overcoming obstacles right now. What do you do to overcome obstacles that are in your way, especially maybe in the buying experience, maybe in the selling experience, inspections. What is that? So what are the things that you do to help set you up for success?
Ask ChatGPT. No, I'm just kidding.
That's not a bad answer, actually. That's not a bad answer
No,
at all.
I'm just kidding. I mean, pivot, whatever, be a problem solver.
Yeah.
There's always a solution, even if it means backing out or, going a different route, there's always a solution. And if you have, something huge come up in inspection, or if there's something that's, deal breaking, there's probably something else that's meant to be, that wasn't it.
Yeah.
And same thing with, getting a loan. If there's something that major, this isn't meant to be, let's go a different route. Let's figure something else out. Let's wait another 6 months or, whatever it is, but there's always a solution. You have to figure out, find the solution and work backwards, or
yeah, no, and that's true. You have to define the problem, number one, and then number two is understand how to execute, which is really good. And I think that's where a lot of agents get nervous, especially with the NAR changes happening right now. Instead of just defining what the problem is, they're going, okay, I'm out, or I'm just gonna kind of look away, and that's not the best way to do it. It's like, let's run into this thing head first and go, how can we overcome this as fast as possible so we can continue serving those other, everyone else. So I love that. Well, Carly, the last thing I always kind of leave it up to you is, do you have any questions? Do you have any talking points that you want to talk about for any real estate agents that are out there in the market trying to expand, or buyers or sellers in the market that are listening now on things that are going on?
I think I really just want to talk about how I'm excited about the changes. A lot of, most people, you don't learn how to buy a house in school. And, a lot of people seriously think like, oh, I can find this house on Zillow. Like, what do I need a realtor for? And there's so much more that goes into it.
Yes.
And I think with these changes, people are going to be a lot more educated. Besides, all the 200 things that we do behind the scenes. I mean, there's also a lot of people don't even know like what the option period is. What's a contingency? What is that? The negotiation, all that stuff. And then there's all of the relationships that we have, in the industry. Like you said, you can have a terrible experience with an agent that doesn't care or isn't educated or something like that. I heard a lady say yesterday how one of the reasons why she got into real estate was because she had such a horrible experience buying a home like 20 years ago or whatever.
Sad.
Yeah, so sad. And so I'm excited that I think that this will bring one, like knowledge and education to consumers about the things that we do. And also like I said, it's the relationships that we have, so I know who the great lenders are. I know who the great appraisers are. I know who the great inspectors are. I know
not a lot of great appraisers out there, by the way.
Well,
no, I'm just
I know.
No, I'm just playing.
But it's the relationships that we have. You don't. There's so many people that this process goes through, and being one of the things about being a knowledgeable and a good agent is having the good relationships with great inspectors, lenders, escrow officers, title company. It totally takes a team. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is, people don't realize what really goes on throughout the process of buying a home. It is a team. I mean, you talk to so many different people, and it takes a well-rounded, I tell everybody, you can work with an agent and you can work with a loan officer, but if you work with an agent and a loan officer that work together, it can be a night and day difference, because they understand how the workflow is and they get you the next steps, where by the time you get to the end of it, we're like, we're done. That was it. And then it's exciting, and you get to do those things. You get to be a part of the relationship. No, I totally agree with you. I'm excited about the changes that are coming. Are you attending any events, anything coming up that I'm sure you've probably already gone to a few about getting educated on all the changes.
Oh, absolutely.
I've seen so much. What's crazy is the mortgage side. I've almost sick to my stomach because, I was just talking about this with the head of a bank in Florida, actually 2 days ago. And I was like, I'm almost sick to my stomach because we've had nothing. I said, the entire industry has almost been dead silent. And I said, this is a very big change in the sense of what we need to do on our end for an approval standpoint. Imagine if you sign an agreement and the buyer signs an agreement, but the time it gets to me and it doesn't get approved anymore because there's not funds or something. available. That's a big thing where your loan officer has to be educated as well. I say loan officer, you should be working with the broker, but that's just my opinion. So no, I'm excited, and I'm excited to see you continue to rise to the top as well. And I know there's a couple agents that you work with closely as well. Shelby and I both follow them. So I'm really pumped for you guys, and I'm excited to see you continue crushing it.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, Carly, it was a pleasure having you on. Thank you for driving all this way to be a part of it with us.
Of course.
And if you haven't already, hit the follow, the like, and subscribe button for future. And I'm going to drop all of Carly's information in the description below. So if you are buying, selling, or looking to invest, I know a girl in West Fort Worth. How about that?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I know a great broker.
Hey, well, thank you. I love it. Well, thank you guys all for joining us on this episode of HB's Housing Huddle. We will see you next time.